You know what's wild? There's a room deep inside the Titanic that nobody has ever seen. Not the divers, not the explorers, not even the people who've studied this ship their whole lives. A room where time just stopped and secrets got frozen in place. Secrets that even the smartest history folks never imagined were down there. So it's been 113 years since the Titanic went down to the bottom of the ocean. 113 years of that massive ship sitting in the cold, dark water. And now, something new is happening. They're going back. But this time, it's not people swimming down there. It's a robot. A special underwater robot that can go where humans can't. And this robot is heading straight into a part of the ship that's been locked up by the ocean this whole time. The cargo hold. The storage area way down in the belly of the ship. And what this robot finds changes everything we thought we knew. Picture this robot moving slowly through the dark water, its lights cutting through the blackness like tiny suns. It's going into places that haven't seen light since 1912. The metal is twisted. The walls are falling apart. Everything is covered in rust and ocean plants. But the robot keeps going, deeper and deeper into the ship's secret heart. Now, most people think about the Titanic and they see the grand staircase, right? They think about the fancy dining rooms and the rich people in their expensive clothes. But the cargo hold? That was a completely different world. That was where all the stuff nobody talked about got stored. Paintings worth more money than most people made in their entire lives. Safes filled with who knows what. Trunks packed with belongings from people starting new lives in America. Crates marked fragile. Boxes that nobody was supposed to open. All kinds of things that were supposed to arrive in New York but never made it. And here's the thing that makes you think. Why did this cargo hold stay untouched for over 100 years? What was in there that nobody wrote down in the official records? Because when you look at the ship's papers, there are things listed, sure. But there are gaps, missing information, stuff that doesn't quite add up. And some of the things down there in that cargo hold look way too good for something that's been underwater for more than a century. How is that even possible? So the robot starts moving through these collapsed areas where the ship fell apart. Metal beams bent like they're made of paper. Walls that caved in from the pressure of all that water. Everything got destroyed by gravity and the ocean and time. Everything except the mystery. The robot's camera shows these incredible images. Sealed crates sitting right where they were placed. Old suitcases that look like they could open any second. Machinery that's all rusted, but you can still tell what it used to be. And there are these marks, impact marks, scratches, dents, each one telling a story without saying a single word. The robot moves forward 1 meter at a time, and every single meter reveals something new. Over here, there's a chain hanging from the ceiling covered in orange rust. Over there, a mirror that somehow didn't break. Can you imagine? A mirror, perfectly whole, sitting at the bottom of the ocean for over 100 years. And then there's this trunk, this beautiful wooden trunk with carvings all over it. Strange symbols that nobody can quite figure out. Everything is exactly where it was left. Like the moment the ship went down, time just decided to take a nap and never wake up. Then the robot's light catches something. The first object that's completely intact. Not broken, not crushed. Just sitting there like it's waiting for someone to come get it. We're not going to tell you what it is just yet. But imagine something so important, so symbolic, that finding it could make us rethink everything about that terrible night when the ship sank. Something that makes you question what really happened down in those dark waters. You have to understand something about the Titanic. Up on the top decks, people were dancing. They were laughing and eating fancy food and drinking champagne and living their best lives. They had no idea what was happening below them. But down in the cargo hold, there were all these other stories. Silent stories. Stories about hopes and dreams packed into boxes and bags. Stories about people who trusted that their precious things would make it safely across the ocean, and all those stories sank along with the ship. That difference between the fancy luxury upstairs and the forgotten stuff downstairs is maybe the saddest part of this whole exploration. Now close your eyes for a second and try to see this with me. There's an iron wardrobe. It's all bent and twisted from the massive pressure of the water. But somehow, it's still closed. The door is still shut tight. And inside that wardrobe, there might be letters that never got delivered. Fancy clothes all folded up, still waiting to be worn to some important party in New York. A necklace tangled up in a piece of cloth that used to be bright and colorful, but now it's all faded and pale. Who owned these things? What were their names? What were they dreaming about when they packed these items so carefully? Did they have families waiting for them? Were they running away from something or running towards something better? As the robot keeps exploring, something really strange shows up on the camera. There are marks on the floor, drag marks, like something heavy got pulled across the ground. But that doesn't make sense. Who would be dragging things around down there? And when? The ship sank. Everyone left or went down with it. Nothing down there should have moved. Nothing had any reason to move. But something did move. Those marks are right there, clear as day. What made them? How? When? Some of the experts who study the Titanic have these theories. They're not proven or anything. Nobody can say for sure. But they wonder if maybe some of the cargo was special. Really special. Like historically important. Or politically sensitive. Some people say there were high-value safes loaded onto the ship without any paperwork, without any official records. Just put on board quiet-like. No questions asked. Is that true? Is it made up? Or is it just what happens when people try to make sense of things they can't explain? The human brain loves a good mystery, and it'll fill in the blanks even when there's no real answer. The robot continues deeper into the ship. The camera feed gets darker. The water seems thicker somehow. And then, at the end of this long corridor, there it is. The main cargo chamber, the central storage area. And sitting right in the middle of it is this enormous safe. This huge, heavy, industrial-strength safe. It's locked. Still locked after all these years. And somehow, it survived. Survived the crash. Survived the sinking. Survived the incredible pressure of being nearly 2.5 miles underwater. The robot's mechanical arm reaches out, and the camera zooms in closer. The image stabilizes. And there, carved right into the door of the safe, is a symbol. The symbol of a bird. Wings spread wide. Frozen in metal. Think about that for a minute. A bird carved into a safe at the bottom of the ocean. What does it mean? Was it just decoration? Or did it stand for something? A company logo? A secret society? A family crest? The robot's camera stays focused on that bird, and you can almost feel the weight of all those unanswered questions pressing down like the water itself. You see, the thing about the Titanic's cargo hold is that it wasn't just a storage space. It was a vault of human ambition. Every single item down there represented somebody's dream. The artist who packed their paintings, hoping to sell them in New York galleries. The immigrant who carefully wrapped their family heirlooms before crossing the ocean to start fresh. The businessman who loaded crates of merchandise that were going to make them rich. The collector who entrusted their most precious acquisitions to the ship's care. All of those dreams went down together. All of those plans ended in the same cold darkness. And now, over a century later, a robot with cameras for eyes is the only witness to what remains. It glides through spaces that were never meant to be seen this way. Through hallways that once bustled with crew members checking manifests and moving cargo. Through storage bays that once smelled of fresh wood and machine oil and possibility. Now they smell of nothing. Sound travels differently down there. Light behaves strangely. Everything exists in this weird state between past and present. The robot's footage shows more details as it explores. There are leather bags with brass buckles that have turned green from the ocean. There are wooden boxes with rope handles that have frayed into nothing. There are metal containers with labels so faded you can barely make out the letters. Each object is like a word in a sentence that nobody can fully read anymore. We get pieces, fragments, but the whole story stays just out of reach. In one corner, the camera catches sight of what looks like a writing desk. It's on its side, wedged between two support beams. The wood is dark and waterlogged, but you can still see the craftsmanship. Someone made that desk by hand. Someone spent hours carving those details, sanding those surfaces, fitting those joints together perfectly. And someone else bought it, loved it, used it to write letters or do work or keep their important papers organized. Then they packed it up to take to their new home across the ocean. That desk never made it. It's been lying on its side in the dark for longer than most people live. The robot moves past stacks of what used to be fabric. You can see the layers compressed together like pages in a wet book. Maybe it was clothing. Maybe it was bedding or curtains or tablecloths. Whatever it was, it's all merged into one solid mass now. But if you look closely at the edges, you can sometimes spot a pattern, a flower, a stripe, a hint of what color it might have been. These tiny details are like whispers from the past. There's a section where musical instruments were stored. The robot's light reveals the curved shape of what might have been a cello or a bass. The strings are long gone. The wood is warped beyond recognition, but the basic form is still there. Someone played that instrument. Someone made music with it. Maybe they played at weddings or in concert halls or just for fun in their living room. Maybe they were bringing it to America to teach music lessons or to join an orchestra. That instrument was going to make more music. Instead, it sits silent at the bottom of the sea. As the exploration continues, the robot comes across an area where luggage is piled up. Trunks stacked on top of each other like a very sad game of blocks. Some have burst open from the pressure. Their contents spilled out and mixed together into a jumbled mess that nobody could ever sort out. But others are still closed, still keeping their secrets, still protecting the privacy of people who died over 100 years ago. Should those trunks be opened? Do we have the right to look inside? Or should some things stay private forever, even at the bottom of the ocean? The camera picks up something shiny, a reflection in the robot's light. It moves closer and finds a picture frame. The glass is somehow unbroken. Inside the frame, there's a photograph. You can't make out the details anymore. The image has been destroyed by salt water, but the frame is still doing its job, still trying to protect and display something that was important to someone. Who was in that picture? A family? A sweetheart? A child? We'll never know. But someone loved that photo enough to pack it carefully and bring it on the most famous voyage in history. Further along, there are signs of the ship's mechanical systems, pipes and valves and gauges that once kept everything running smoothly. The Titanic was a marvel of engineering for its time. The cargo hold had ventilation systems to keep things from getting damp and moldy. It had electric lights so workers could see what they were doing. It had pumps and drains and all kinds of clever solutions to the problems of moving cargo across the ocean. All of that technology is still there, frozen in rust, a monument to human innovation and human hubris existing side by side. The robot discovers an area that looks like it might have been an office or workspace. There's a desk bolted to the floor, a chair lying on its side, shelves that once held ledgers and documents. This was probably where the cargo master worked, the person responsible for knowing where everything was stored, what belonged to whom, what needed special handling. That person went down with the ship. Their office became their tomb. And now a robot swims through it, recording everything, understanding nothing. In another section, the camera reveals bottles. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Some are broken. Many are intact. They could be wine, could be medicine, could be chemicals or perfumes or oils. The labels are mostly gone. The contents are a mystery. But they're still there, still sealed, still waiting. Some collector somewhere probably has records that mention these bottles. Probably spent years wondering what happened to them. Well, here they are, exactly where they were left. Just completely unreachable. The robot's exploration takes it past areas where you can see the raw power of what happened that night. Metal twisted into impossible shapes, support beams snapped like twigs, walls crushed inward from the force of the impact and the water rushing in. The ship didn't just sink, it was destroyed, torn apart by forces that humans can barely comprehend. And yet in the middle of all that destruction, some things survived. Delicate things, fragile things, things that by all logic should have been obliterated. But they're still there. There's a children's toy visible in one shot. Just for a second. The robot's light passes over it and then it's gone. But in that brief moment, you could see it. A small toy, probably wooden, definitely old-fashioned. Some child's treasure. Some little boy or girl was probably so excited to bring that toy to America. Probably played with it on the ship. Probably had it tucked away safely with the family's belongings. And there it sits, at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, waiting for a child who will never come back for it. The footage shows evidence of the ship's final moments in other ways, too. There are objects scattered in patterns that suggest rapid movement. things that were knocked off shelves or pulled from their storage places by the rushing water. The ship sank in just 2 hours and 40 minutes. In that short time, everything changed. Everything got thrown into chaos. And you can see that chaos preserved in how things are positioned. It's like a snapshot of disaster. As the robot navigates through a particularly tight space, the camera catches sight of something that makes the operators pause. It's a section of wall with writing on it, carved or painted, hard to tell. The words are mostly illegible now, but you can make out a few letters. A date, maybe. A name. Someone left a message. Someone wanted to be remembered. Or maybe they were just bored and carved their initials while they were supposed to be working. Either way, it's a direct connection to a real person who was really there. Not a passenger. Probably crew. Someone who spent their days in this dark cargo hold, moving boxes and checking inventory and doing the unsexy work that kept the ship running. Someone whose name probably isn't in any history book. But they were there. And they left proof. The exploration reveals more of the contradiction that is the Titanic. This ship was sold as unsinkable, the safest, most advanced ocean liner ever built. And yet, it sank on its very first voyage. The cargo hold was designed to protect valuables from theft, from weather, from the normal hazards of ocean travel. And it did protect them. Just not from sinking. Everything stayed safe and secure right up until the moment the ship went down. Then all those precautions became irrelevant. The locked doors kept the water in, not out. The secure storage became a sealed tomb. The robot continues its methodical exploration. Every sweep of its camera adds to our understanding while somehow deepening the mystery. Because the more we see, the more we realize how much we don't know. How much we can't know. The Titanic took secrets down with it. Secrets about what was really in all those crates and trunks. Secrets about who knew what when. Secrets about last-minute deals and under-the-table arrangements and items that were never meant to be recorded in any ledger. There are whispers among Titanic researchers about certain cargo that was never officially acknowledged. Artifacts from Egypt that probably should have stayed in Egypt. Military equipment being transported quietly to avoid attention. Personal fortunes in gold and jewels that wealthy passengers didn't want to declare for tax purposes. Experimental technology that companies wanted to get to America before their competitors found out about it. Are these stories true? Some of them might be. Some are definitely exaggerations. Some are complete fiction. But they persist because the cargo hold represents possibility. It represents the unknown. And humans are drawn to the unknown like moths to a flame. The robot's camera shows areas where you can see how the ship's structure failed. Rivets that popped, seams that split, plates that buckled. The Titanic was built with the best materials and methods available in 1912, but those materials and methods weren't good enough. The ocean won. Physics won. And now we get to see the evidence of that victory recorded in high definition by a machine that wouldn't exist for another century after the ship sank. In a quieter section of the cargo hold, the robot finds what looks like a prayer book. It's open to a page that's mostly dissolved, but you can still make out a few words. Words about faith and hope and deliverance. Did someone read from this book while the ship was going down? Did they clutch it as the water rose? Or was it just sitting on a shelf, minding its own business when disaster struck? We can't know. But finding it open like that feels significant somehow, like the universe is trying to tell us something. The exploration takes the robot past stacks of what were probably building materials, timber and bricks and metal sheets. Someone was planning to build something in America. A house, maybe. A shop. A factory. They had it all figured out. They knew exactly what they needed and they packed it carefully onto the Titanic. Those materials never got used. That building never got built. That plan stayed just a plan, forever. There's a moment in the footage where the robot's light catches multiple objects at once and creates this incredible scene. A trunk with brass fittings. A mirror reflecting the robot's light back at itself. A piece of carved wood that might have been part of furniture. A coil of rope hanging from a hook. All of these things together in one frame. All of these separate stories intersecting in one moment at the bottom of the ocean. It's beautiful in a sad way. Haunting. Unforgettable. The robot approaches another sealed container. This one is smaller, about the size of a shoebox. It has a lock on it. A small, delicate lock that somehow survived everything. What's in that box? Love letters, jewelry, money, legal documents, medicine. A treasured collection of something that mattered deeply to someone? The lock keeps those questions locked inside. Maybe it's better that way. Maybe some mysteries should stay mysteries. As the exploration nears its completion, the robot moves back toward that central cargo chamber, back toward that massive safe with the bird carved into its door. The operators want one more look, one more chance to study it. The camera zooms in on the engravings, on the metal, on the keyhole that will probably never see a key again. This safe represents everything about the cargo hold in one object. It's a container of unknown contents. It survived against all odds. It holds secrets that may never be revealed. It's both an ending and a beginning. The end of whatever journey it was on. The beginning of our fascination with what it might hold. The thing you have to understand about all of this is that the Titanic cargo hold isn't just a room full of old stuff. It's a time capsule. It's a museum. It's a graveyard. It's proof that human plans and human hopes are fragile things. We pack our dreams into boxes and trunks and crates. We lock them up tight. We put them on ships and trains and planes. We trust that they'll arrive safely. And usually they do. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes the universe has other plans. Sometimes everything goes wrong in the worst possible way. And then we're left with questions that have no answers. With mysteries that have no solutions. With stories that have no endings. What was found in that cargo hold probably won't ever be fully explained. There are things down there we can identify, things we can catalog and study and preserve, but there are more things we can't explain. Things that don't make sense. Things that challenge what we think we know about the Titanic and its final voyage. And that's okay. That's actually perfect. Because the Titanic should have mysteries. It should have secrets. It should have parts of its story that stay forever unknown. That's what makes it more than just a shipwreck. That's what keeps us coming back to it over and over, more than a century later. That's what makes a robot's journey into its cargo hold feel like the most important exploration happening in our world today. The Titanic isn't done surprising us. It isn't done teaching us. It isn't done challenging us to think about what really matters and what gets lost and what survives when everything else falls apart. And this journey into its cargo hold is just one more chapter in a story that will never truly end.